Hello, welcome back to my Stardew Valley challenge run where I try to reach perfection as soon as the game lets me. We accomplished so much in the last episode. We finally hit level 10 in all of our skills, letting us get mastery points. We participated in the Trout Derby and won a few prizes, and finally finished the crafts room which opened up the quarry. And this week is all about preparing for fall. I'm using the workbench to make some mayonnaise machines and cheese makers because last week we got more animals in our coop and our barn, and this will help us make more money. I'm also hoping to fill out more space in the barn with kegs, so that's why I'm planting more oak trees for that very important oak resin. This keg is getting a hot pepper just so I can turn in that wine for a community center bundle, and I'm finally crafting the statue of the Dwarf King for those mining buffs. I don't really need either of these buffs, but hey, let's just try for more coal. Now to finish up the rest of the farm chores, I'm putting more starfruit in some preserves jars and filling out those kegs with some hops. I think it's best to use the kegs for pale ale rather than the starfruit wine, plus the starfruit does give us more money per day when put in a preserves jar. I'm asking Robin to give us a cellar so we can eventually craft a cask, and it is the dwarf's birthday, so they get a gem. From their shop, we get a book that teaches us how to not get as hurt from bombs, a rare crow, and one crafting recipe. For the next 12 seconds, I'm going to do a little bit of geode farming, which does require a lot of this pause buffering. Basically, geodes are tile dependent per day, so if I go down to a floor and find the geode, I can go back to the same floor, and as long as there's a rock on that spot, it'll give me another geode. And this is just because I'm going to Clint's now to open up all the geodes I had, plus a few extra that I was able to farm over the last hour or so. I'm using Mousey's Predictor to guarantee certain items like the treasure chest, the obsidian, which is a love gift for Sebastian, the marble, and this arrowhead that I thought I needed for some reason, but I've already donated that to Gunther. Next, we can finally cash in our second mastery reward. Oh, and maybe pick up this bait maker that I left during the Trout Derby last week. I want to go for combat mastery so we can start our search for some trinkets. I'm also being a bit more cognizant of the relationships with the villagers, so like that summer spring with Caroline, you're gonna see me hand out some more love gifts. Now I'm just trying to find Demetrius so I can hand him a melon, which is for a story quest, and I also have a strawberry for him because that's another loved gift. Now that it's evening time, I just want to complete a few more chores on the farm. Let's check on that mushroom cave just because why not, and make sure the animals are doing alright. I'm chopping down some trees for wood, and the trees I'm replanting do include some green rain trees. Once they're fully grown, moss will grow a little bit more quickly with those green rain trees interspersed. Finally, at night, a windstorm turns the big tree into a giant stump, unlocking another quest chain. Summer 23 is a neutral luck day, but our new statue of the Dwarf King gives us the ladder buff, which makes ladders and shafts more common to find. So I think that's a good reason to go to the Skull Cavern today. First, though, let's craft 22 kegs using the 22 oak resins we got from our oak tree farm. Of course, we're going to stick those kegs right in the barn and fill them with some hops for some pale ale. Heading to the coop, we finally get our last coop animal, another void chicken, to keep our other one, Amanita, company. I'm going to name her Gallerina, which is another genus of poisonous mushrooms. With all of our farm chores done, let's head into town and briefly pick up a Help Wanted quest before going over to Clint. He made a gold trash can for us, and let's get a nice iridium trash can upgrade first before warping to the desert. I brought over a sweet pea to give to our favorite desert lady for no other reason than to give her a love gift, and let's make some trades at the desert trader before hopping in the cave. During this Skull Cavern montage, I want to talk a little bit more about our mastery upgrades. In the last video, I was pretty excited to mention the heavy furnaces and the statue of the Dwarf King for mining mastery, and I kinda dissed the double gem upgrade that you're seeing right here. However, double diamonds and double rubies are really helpful when we do trades with the desert trader. The double rubies gives us double the spicy eels, and the double diamonds gives us double the triple shot espresso, so maybe call that sextuple shot espresso? Earlier in this video, you saw Hanj pick up her second mastery, which is combat mastery. This lets us craft an anvil and a mini forge, and really neither of them I'm all too interested in. Instead, I unlocked that mastery specifically for the trinkets. Trinkets offer us different power-ups in combat. One makes us immune to debuffs, another heals us, others do damage or crowd control to enemies. However, I really just want to find a parrot egg, which sometimes gets us gold when we slay enemies. Trinkets are a little bit rare, but they can be found in doing basically any activity in the Skull Cavern, namely breaking open crates, slaying monsters, or getting into treasure rooms. Maybe with the timing there, you kinda thought I was gonna get a trinket from that chest, but nope, it's just yam seeds, which will be helpful when it turns to fall. However, after slaying this iridium rock crab, we get our first trinket, the golden spur. Golden spurs give us a speed boost every time we deal a critical strike. It's not necessarily the best one in my opinion, and not the one I was looking for, but I'll take it for now, it's better than nothing. And actually, we have a second option here, we get a basilisk paw on the same floor. This makes us immune to debuffs, but I'm not too worried about debuffs right now. I think I'll find another one in the future, so let's just trash it for some gold. Trinkets are a little bit inconvenient in that they don't stack with each other. However, with these trash can upgrades, getting them and not needing them is just free gold. And speaking of trashing things to get gold, let's check in on our trash can tally. In this Skull Cavern run, we earned 2,835 gold, so let's tack that on and record our progress. As one last task before bedtime, let's check on that large stump. It's requesting 100 hardwood to be patched up, and even though we need hardwood for a lot of different things, I think we have 100 to spare, and we can patch it up tomorrow. Wednesday, summer 24, starts with a huge harvest of ancient fruit, corn, blueberry, hops, summer squash, starfruit, red cabbage, and although it's not a crop, I'll add this in, oak resin for more kegs. As seed makers are time and tile dependent, I can reset the day a few times before finding a good spot to get 3 ancient seeds per ancient fruit that we got. Might as well put those dehydrators to good use, so let's put some fruit and mushrooms in there, and I'm going to use speed grow on a lot of trees, mostly mahogany and oak. Mahogany for the hardwood, and oak for more oak resin. In the greenhouse, we get another harvest of coffee, and I replace some placeholder wheat with those ancient seeds. And outside on the farm, I'll replace a moderately sized starfruit harvest with more placeholder wheat. At the large stump, let's use 100 hardwood to fix it up, and this is kind of the reason why I speed growed all of those mahogany trees, to replenish our hardwood stock. Elliot gets a cactus fruit, which he asked for yesterday, and a loved gift. Again, still working on those friendships. Here's yet another help wanted quest. Demetrius wants us to slay some rock crabs, and using our prize ticket from Elliot's quest, we can get Friendship 101. This book increases our friendship gains with villagers by 10%. I'm glad we read it today, because it's Willie's birthday, and we can give him a diamond and get just a little bit more friendship points because of the book. While we're here, I'll snag the recipe for the fish smoker, and I'm also going to buy a lot of crab pots. The reason why I'm doing this is because, using the predictor, I can see the raccoon quests in the future, and he's going to request 5 periwinkle. So I'm just going to load up the mountain lake with crab pots so that I can guarantee having at least 5. I'm sure I could do the math and figure out how many I should buy, and I think I don't need 10, but why not? They're not that expensive. Now I figured it was a good time to go hunt some rock crabs. I am blurring some of the footage here just because I feel like the pause buffering is really disorienting even when dimmed. And all I'm really doing is looking for either rocks on the sand or rocks that are a little bit misplaced on the grid, because those aren't actually rocks, but they're the rock crabs. I do sometimes misidentify them, and that's fine. I'd rather make a false positive and go, whoops, I guess it was just a rock, than accidentally make a false negative and skip over a rock crab that I should have identified. Now, it's possible that I could have missed them anyways. It's hard to know when you made a false negative in this case. Either way, I got the quest done, I got the crabs, and we can head out. It's a little late, but we have time for one more task, so let's make a few iridium sprinklers and sprinkle some wheat seeds out in the fields. This way we're getting just a little bit more prepared for the first day of fall. Like last Thursday, Summer 25 has terrible luck, and unlike last Thursday, I'm not going to fight it, so I'm not going to go to the Skull Cavern. Instead, we can chop down some trees and get our 3rd mastery level, and take a visit to the new raccoon family. Well, it's just the guy, and he indeed wants a smoked salmon and those periwinkle. We're near the secret woods, so we might as well get some hardwood, and let's also go get our 3rd mastery perk. I do want to talk about the different rewards we get, though first, Leah also wants a scorpion carp, kind of strange that we got 2 in a row, and we also need to talk to Demetrius and say that we have crabs. Okay, now I'm going to Robin's, just moving around the coop in the barn to give the animals easier access to blue grass. Okay, mastery perks. First, The Iridium Scythe is okay. It does harvest more crops all at once, but it doesn't pause time like harvesting crops by hand does. So sometimes it's not that useful. The second perk from Farming Mastery is the Statue of Blessings recipe, and it kind of would be nice to have now, but there's no way I'm going to get 999 fiber until I get the fiber seeds recipe from Linus. I'm mostly looking forward to those golden animal crackers so I can put the first one in our legend fish pond, and speaking of fishing, wow, that scorpion carp was really tricky. So the legend fish pond, and then also for our ducks and our rabbits so we can get more loved gifts. The ducks will drop duck feathers, which we want to give to Leo, and the rabbits are going to drop rabbit's feet, which is universal love. Well, for everyone except one villager. Back on the farm, we can finally put to use all those things we bought, like the wheat seeds from Pierre and the deluxe speed grow from Sandy. Although first I just remembered we had an iridium trash can to pick up from Clint, and we wanted to get that before he closed at 4. While we're out and about, might as well get the Alleyway Buffet. It's a secret book, and all it really does is make the trash cans around town 20% more bountiful. Speaking of books, we can trade one of our books in for some hardwood, which we kind of lack right now since we dropped off 100 to fix the big stump. George gets a hot pepper for a story quest, and finally Leah gets that scorpion carp, which we fought very valiantly for earlier in the desert. Returning to the farm a second time, let's actually harvest our crops. Haven't done that yet today, and I completely forgot that we had the iridium scythe. Only upon walking to the wheat did I remember. Old habits die hard, I guess. Finally, for the last task of today, let's plant as much wheat as possible. I'm going to use some iridium sprinklers and some quality sprinklers to best cover the area that we have, and I'm not worrying about the deluxe speed grow just yet. All the wheat will be fully grown on fall 1st, regardless of the fertilizer. I do, however, want to put speed grow on the wheat at some point, because the fertilizer will stay put over the season change, and those spots will be great for pumpkins. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough time to complete the task tonight, so Hanj will just have to fall asleep in her germinating wheat fields for now. Friday, Summer 26 begins with the same task we left off with last night. As long as I use Deluxe Speed Grow on the wheat today, it'll be ready on fall 1st because it's only going to take 3 days to grow instead of 4. I'm also going to deluxe speed grow a whole bunch of other wheat, and again with the idea that the fertilizer is going to stay in the ground as the seasons turn, and I'll be able to plant pumpkins in those spots. That'll give me 3 harvests of pumpkins as opposed to the usual 2. Also, just like yesterday, I'm forgetting about the iridium scythe. There we go, now I'm using it. Now let's get some crops in those dehydrators and the preserves jars. And speaking to those dehydrators, all of the wheat crops that I'm not going to deluxe speed grow are going to be cranberries in the fall. The deluxe speed grow doesn't really matter for those, and I might as well plant the cranberries to put those dehydrators to good use. Next at the traveling cart, there happens to be a cheap mega bomb, an important apple for the fodder bundle, and 5 rare seeds. Usually there's just 1. We have spent a lot of time on the farm and not much time out and about, so let's take a sec to go to town and pick up this help wanted quest. George wants a sandfish, which is convenient because we fished them up yesterday fishing for Leah. And here I thought George would enjoy a hot pepper because he asked for one previously, but I think I'm confusing him for Shane. Real quick, let's stop by the community center to finish up the dye bundle, dropping off the sometimes pesky red cabbage and one of our duck feathers, and let's do a little keg swap with our starfruit wine. And since we have the cellar, might as well age some of that starfruit wine too. I'm not really going to do a whole bunch of that for profits, but hey, the casks are there and might as well put them to good use. Next, let's make a few crystallariums and of course fill them with jades. Take a sec to make sure that the machines in our coop and barn are looking good, and harvest our coffee from the greenhouse. At this point, I remembered the crab pots, so let's warp on down to the beach, refill those, and up at the mountain lake, we get 2 periwinkles, which isn't 5, but hey, we're working on it. We don't have much else to do today, but since we're near the mines, might as well farm for some iron. And here we get a dwarf scroll 4, that's not the important part. I am being diligent about that trash can, so let's tick up the tally by 1 gold. We have yet to break even. The cost for an iridium trash can alone is greater than the money we've gotten back so far, but hey, we're working on it. Finally, let's sell off a bunch of stuff, make more wheat than we'll ever need, and finish off the day by making some triple shot espressos, not drinking them, before bed. It's the weekend now, but the grind never stops. Today we got a good luck day and the ladder buff from the dwarf statue, so I think we're gonna warp immediately to the Skull Cavern. Let's make a few trades at the Desert Trader before going in. And speaking of trades, a few days ago on Thursday, we got a magic rock candy for 3 prismatic shards, and let's use it today to power us through this Skull Cavern dive. Initially with this Skull Cavern dive, I wasn't really thinking, how deep can I go? But eventually, my mindset kind of switched over, and I did want to see if I could hit a record here for Hanj. And normally, if I'm trying to hit a record, I would use all the tools at my disposal, but for some reason this time, I decided to challenge myself a little bit, and I'm not going to use any staircases. On floor 43, I get a parrot egg, but I don't even notice. Don't worry, I'll notice soon enough. And later, on floor 50, we complete the Monster Slayer requirement for rock crabs. One shaft and one ladder later, I realize that I indeed have a parrot's egg in my inventory, and we can swap it out for that golden spur. That trusty spur is worth 600 gold in the trash can, so that's not that bad. With the trash can in mind, I want to talk about how I'll differentiate between money earned from the trash can versus the parrot egg. Here, slaying this iridium bat, you can see a 500 gold pop-up show on the right side of the screen, and that's from the parrot egg. Whereas when I trashed the fairy box, which gave us 600 gold, that pop-up wasn't there. So to keep track of trash can gold, I'll still do last minus first, but then also minus all the gold I saw in those pop-ups. On floor 100, we get some iridium sprinklers. Nice, we could either use those on the farm now, or maybe on Ginger Island. With all this trash can talk, I do want to set some kind of goal, and the obvious thing to do is just add up all the costs that the trash can incurs. First off, we paid Clint some gold for his services. If we add up all the costs for the copper, steel, gold, and then iridium trash can, that's a sum of 21,000 gold. However, that's not the total cost. We also had to invest 5 of each bar type: copper, iron, gold, and iridium. Now, I could just add up all the sell prices, but I think that's underselling it. I would just straight up buy copper and iron and maybe gold if I could. So I am going to use the price on this deconstructor list under the assumption that I do value these bars at this much. As there's no reliable way to buy iridium bars, I will just use their sell price, 1500 gold. Calculating the value of all those bars and the gold we gave to Clint, we need to get 34,125 gold to break even. Okay, let's catch up to Hanj. Currently it's 1:40 AM and we're 10 floors away from floor 200, so I think I'm going to break that no staircase rule and just craft some staircases on down. Oh, a freebie ladder. That's kind of nice. And how about let's trash some stuff to make room for the treasure. And it's kind of nice that we got the freebie ladder because I just totally messed up the staircase there. And our first treasure is a golden animal cracker. Nice, this is coming from Farming Mastery. And some cherry bombs, which we'll use on our next dive. Finally, I'm just warping Hanj home so she has a comfier place to pass out. Today's summer 28, and it's the last day of the week, season, and video. After some morning chores, we must stop at the traveling cart today for some very important garlic seeds. Also, I get a rare seed, and I contemplate some spicy eels, but I don't need them. Garlic is a year 2 crop, and there's no way for us to get it in this run except from the traveling cart. The Secret Woods offers us some slimes to slay, which does up our parrot egg tally just a little bit. And I just realized I never did the trash can tally from yesterday. Okay, let me show you the updated numbers. Yesterday's Skull Cavern run got us 9,216 gold, which means we're at 19,553 gold. Additionally, we got 3,000 gold from our parrot yesterday, so tacking on that 500 gold from today gets us at 3,500 gold for the parrot. At Pierre's, I want to buy even more wheat. I do have a plan later today. And in Caroline's sunroom, we can get one more tea leaf. And there's a fun secret here where if you chop her plant, I think it's 200 times, it'll actually drop a tea sapling. Without using animation canceling in this run, that's definitely not worth my time. I don't think it's worth your time either way, except if you want to find a funny Easter egg. After returning to the farm, I'm going to drop down those 2 iridium sprinklers we got yesterday, and then warp to the desert so I can buy some seeds from Sandy. The beets kind of function as placeholders just like wheat does, and the starfruit is for the greenhouse. Ooh, it's also Staircase Sunday, so we can exchange our jades for staircases for future Skull Cavern dives. Now let's complete a few tasks at home. Might as well put those casks to good use again. I had 4 empty ones, so I'll just put cheese in there. And I'm also going to craft some tea saplings and garden pots and grow them indoors. Finally, let's talk about all that wheat I bought at Pierre's. We have a huge starfruit harvest today, the 3rd main harvest of the season. The wheat will help the soil remain watered, tilled, and fertilized over the season change, but I'm not going to plant pumpkins here like the other deluxe speed grow spots. Instead, these will be used for cranberries, and the deluxe speed grow will help these ones resync with the cranberries I'm able to plant on fall 1. Speaking to those red cabbages and the seed makers, I'm only doing that because I also want the polyculture achievement. It's not necessary for perfection, but it's just something that I want to do. So I'll plant the garlic, some of those red cabbages, and a lot of starfruit in the greenhouse. It's getting a little bit late, and so for one more task at home, I'm just going to try to sell off as much stuff as possible to get a lot of money on fall 1. The whole point, again, is to buy pumpkin seeds and cranberry seeds, and there is a pretty considerable upfront cost. More bars are going in the furnaces, some mushrooms and fruit in the dehydrators, and a few more things in preserves jars, and the tea leaves in this keg, just so I have that to sell for the perfection requirement. After that task is done, we can warp to the beach because it is the Dance of the Moonlight Jellies. This festival is not required by any means from a perfection standpoint, but it does let us talk to most of the villagers and increase our friendship with them. It doesn't take up too much time in the evening, so we might as well go, and I feel like it sets the tone well for the transition between summer to fall. Ever trying to maximize the day, I will take a sec to go to the mines to get a bit more ore before returning home and selling off some stuff, mostly for money, but also for some shipping requirements. And that's about it for this episode. Thank you for coming along on this adventure with me, and I'll see you in the next one when the air gets a bit more crisp and the leaves get a bit more crunch. Bye-bye!